This is Kalar, a small town in the southern edge of Iraqi Kurdistan. It connects the trade routes between Kurdistan, Iran and southern Iraq. In recent years, it has become a boom town, but its economic infrastructure and living standards are still in their infancy. Basic needs such as water and electricity are in short supply, but that has not stopped house prices from going through the roof. For example, this small home is apparently worth $800,000. And if you thought that was too high, well, the 350 square meter home is worth around $3.5 million. Make no mistake, this is not California. In fact, in many parts of California, housing seems to be far more affordable. In Sacramento, California's state capital, you can buy a house like this for almost $260,000. Or this palatial one, again in California, for about $700,000. Naturally, it's a mystery for many why property prices are so high in Kalar.
This is really unnatural. It is surprising. I have property on sale here, 210 square meters for $1.8 million.
Bubble or no bubble is the question of the day in Kurdistan. Unlike some other parts of the world undergoing remarkable economic growth, property prices here have not only doubled or tripled. In some areas of Kurdistan, property prices have skyrocketed by as many as 70 or 80 times in less than a decade. In 2003, here in the upscale Bakhtiari neighborhood of Erbil, the capital city of Iraqi Kurdistan, a plot of land costs around $3,000. Now, that same lot is worth around $230,000. Anwar Anaid is a professor of political economy at the University of Kurdistan, ولێر. He believes there is a property bubble in Kurdistan.
The main factor is this herd mentality. So as soon as there's a price rises, large number of people come into the market, and there's a sharp rise in the prices. And normally the cultural tendency is that people think that when the price rises, it will go forever. So people come in and in and in.
The term property bubble refers to an unsustainable increase in real estate prices. Just as an overinflated balloon can burst, an overpriced property market can also collapse. Housing and rental prices in Kurdistan are way beyond what many locals can afford. According to figures from the Kurdish Ministry of Finance and Economics, an entry-level salary for a civil servant with a bachelor's degree is around $300. Meanwhile, the minimum rent in Erbil is around $250. Majid Mohammed Amin is late on 2 payments and is hoping to find a more affordable place to live. He regularly visits real estate agents, but the outcome is always frustration and disappointment, and he is under pressure from his landlord.
He is now telling me to leave the home. If I can't pay this month's rent, I will have to leave the place.
As a day laborer feeding a family of 4, Amin's income is unpredictable. On an average month, he would be lucky to make around $400, and yet he has to give up around 70% of that for rent.
I'm hoping the government would do something for me. Otherwise, I cannot have the home. How can I do it while I just struggle to pay rent?
In a thriving economy with inflated property prices, the dream of owning a home for thousands like Amin might be just that, a dream. Yet not everyone sees a bubble in the market here. Ahmed Rayakani is the head of Kurdistan's Union of Investors.
Unlike many people, I'm very optimistic about the situation. The property market in Kurdistan has grown a lot, and that means Kurdistan's economy is witnessing a huge growth.
In fact, the economy of Kurdistan is a success story despite all odds. While much of Iraq is still mired in violence, Kurdistan has emerged as a new economic hotspot in the Middle East. The Kurdish investment law passed in 2006 offers investors a 10-year tax break and the chance to buy land at reduced prices or sometimes even for free. According to the Kurdish government, since the law was passed, local and international businesses have invested around $20 billion in Kurdistan. with over half of that in the housing sector. The goal behind all this? To help resolve the chronic housing problem in Kurdistan. But a consequence of the policy has been to make the housing and property sector more lucrative, pumping up the prices. Kardo Mohammed is the leader of the largest opposition bloc in the Kurdistan parliament.
I believe what is happening in Kurdistan is not a healthy or a natural growth because there is no plan behind the growth. I can say the growth is mostly superficial and more in terms of form, as seen in erecting new buildings and properties.
The Kurdistan Investment Board estimates around 140,000 housing units have been built in Kurdistan during the past 6 years. But not everybody is benefiting from the increase in the number of homes. A good many of them are being bought and sold within a small circle of real estate dealers, speculators, and wealthy businessmen. As a result, many of the transactions are just exchanges of contract without anyone actually living in the properties. But with the poor regulation of the economy and the financial sector, there are also concerns that there might be more sinister forces at work.
Many people have made lots of money. I can say some of that money has been earned through political influence. Some want to do money laundering, and the property sector is the easiest way for that.
Due to the lack of a strong banking sector in Iraq, the country's economy is largely cash-based, and some see this also as a major reason behind the spike in real estate prices.
There is a lot of cash in the Iraqi economy now. The country's budget is around $100 billion. Our people are all consumers, and this makes them spend a lot of cash to buy homes, villas, cars, and furniture.
Kurdistan these days looks like one big construction site. The old is fast giving way to the new. High-rises, malls, and whole new neighborhoods have sprung up across Kurdish urban areas. Off-plan developments are particularly popular, and their existence is considered a major factor in pushing up prices. They have names such as Italian City, English Village, and German Village to attract customers. But their prices are often not within the means of even the middle-class people. Parvez Hanara is a housing investor. His upscale Bafrin complex is built to withstand an earthquake of up to 8 on the Richter scale and uses solar energy. He charges almost 30% profit on the actual cost of building each unit, making the overall price for a villa between $300,000 to $400,000. As someone with broad business experience, he speaks with confidence about the prospects of the property market in Kurdistan.
I have experience from many countries where I have seen bubbles. In Kurdistan, it is not like there is a bubble or that the situation has reached an alarming level, because the prices of property used to be really low in the past, and that is why people now think the rates are really high.
Hanada has a point. For over a decade, property was greatly undervalued because of international sanctions that paralyzed the Iraqi economy following Saddam Hussein's invasion of neighboring Kuwait. Real estate prices are still quite high for many in Kurdistan, but they have begun to fall slightly since last March, making some believe that the downward trajectory might have just started. The main culprit? Escalating tensions between the Kurdish and Iraqi governments. In a volatile country like Iraq, politics are always a wild card.
Now the market has stopped for around 2 to 3 months. There is no buying and selling. We haven't sold anything in our office for around 2 months.
In some neighborhoods of Erbil, property prices have dropped between $30,000 to $50,000. The uncertainty over where the tensions could lead has made many think twice before investing in the market. Kurdistan, however, is no stranger to political shocks. The property sector experienced a brief stagnation last year due to internal political disputes and unrest, but it bounced back again after tensions descended. Now some argue the current decline is temporary and that prices could rise again as soon as the situation between the Kurds and the Iraqi government is resolved. But others disagree. Haydar Mustafa is the Director General at the Department of Studies and Information at the Kurdistan Investment Board.
We are currently experiencing stagnation in the property market. Maybe prices have already hit their peak, and perhaps people will be mostly sellers and not buyers from now on. This will push prices down.
If the current declining trend continues, the implications could be far-reaching for Kurdistan's economy. Housing bubbles have in the past contributed to larger financial and economic crises in other parts of the world such as Asia and the US. Professor Anaid believes the bubble has burst in Kurdistan.
I think it's already started. I think we saw the top of this cycle a while ago, and it is a decline. But how far and how sharply would they go then? That's the question. This cyclical nature, of course, is there, whether there would be a brief period of revival. But on the long run, I think this is what we're going to witness, a very sharp decline, and then followed by a long period of stagnation, simply because those things are not sustainable, those price rises.
But with Kurdistan being a region just emerging from decades of conflict and destruction, others argue there is still room for growth and that it is too early to speak of a bubble.
The Kurdistan region is at the beginning of an investment process, and much of the investment done so far has been in the home and property sectors. There is not, for example, much investment in the areas of industry, tourism, agriculture, petrochemical, and textile. I don't think we have reached the point where we are going to get a sharp and sudden decline in prices.
The question now for many is what needs to be done to make housing more affordable. This is Zilan City, a low-cost housing complex on the suburbs of Erbil. Although dozens of housing complexes like this have been built in Erbil and all over the Kurdistan region, many people still do not own a home. And they are hoping to see more low-cost complexes like Zilan that lower-income families can afford. Each home here was sold through mortgage for $50,000. The Kurdish government has also given out generous loans of around $15,000 to those who don't have a home and want to build one. That has played an important role in increasing the overall price of property and construction materials. Inflated property and housing prices can increasingly marginalize whole sections of the population.
These are two different things. From political economic consequence, I feel there would be, of course, sharp differences between the classes, the people who have and the people who have not. And part of it is this quick money that comes into economy. That will make, it's not without its possible social and political consequence in terms of destabilizing the whole, society. So that's for the sharp differences between classes, the class, and that's in itself is a recipe for instability, both political and social instability.
Now the government has plans to build 7,000 low-cost housing units to give to first-time buyers through long-term interest-free mortgages. Authorities estimate that around 7% of Kurdistan's nearly 4.7 million population live in rental housing. That's about 76,000 families. The fall in prices could certainly mean big losses for many people, but maybe for people like Majid Muhammad Amin, it offers a ray of hope that one day their dream of owning a home might come true. Mohammed Salih, Rudao.